southwest of the United States, known for its beautiful scenery, liberal attitudes and rain. Lots of rain. It's no stranger to danger. During the earliest part of the 20th century, Portland was known as a hotbed of illegal activities from organised crime to bootlegging and racketeering, but the city's economy boomed during the 40s and 50s and rapidly became the bastion of progressive ideology that we know it as today, but it's known to have a darker side lurking underneath the surface. On the evening of January the 23rd, 1990, Tanya Bennett was enjoying a night on the town after a long day at work. Portland is known for its vibrant nightlife with many nightclubs and bars to choose from. Bennett went out that night to have a good time, but someone else there had very different plans for her. Another patron at the bar that fateful night was Keith Hunter Jesperson. Once a prospect for his dream career as a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, his plans were derailed after an injury and he was forced to settle in Washington State. He and Bennett met up after a few drinks. He convinced her to go back to the house he was renting, but when they arrived, Bennett refused to have sex with him, causing him to be enraged. He proceeded to beat her for a prolonged period of time and asphyxiated her to finally end her life in the most cold and brutal fashion imaginable. Next, he then sought to establish an alibi, so he returned to the bar for a few more hours that night as if nothing had ever happened, before going back to the house to dispose of Bennett's body. The body was found a few days later. There were said to be 3 suspects and 666 leads. I'm sure that number is just a coincidence. It was 2.5 years after the first kill when the deranged Jesperson couldn't fight the urge to kill again. On the 30th of August 1992, the currently unidentified body of a woman he had raped and strangled was found near Blythe, California. He later said that the Jane Doe's name was Claudia. Just 1 month later, in Turlock, California, the body of Cynthia Lynn Rose was discovered. He claims she was a sex worker who entered his truck at a truck stop while he slept. His 4th victim was a sex worker named Laurie Ann Pentland of Salem, Oregon. Her body was found in November of the same year. According to Jesperson, she attempted to double the fee she charged, causing him to be overcome with anger. She threatened to call the police and so he strangled her. It was more than 6 months before his next victim was found in June 1993, another unidentified woman in Santa Nella, California, who he claimed was named Carla or Cindy. Police originally considered her death a drug overdose, so no investigations were made at the time. More than 1 year later, in September 1994, yet another Jane Doe was found in Crestview, Florida. Jesperson claims her name was Suzanne, but again, not much is known about this case either, as a lot of these were confessed much later, and the only info that some of the cases have is simply what this monster told the authorities. Jesperson was arrested on the 30th of March 1995 for the murder of Julie Winningham. He had been questioned by the police a week before, but they had no grounds to arrest him after he refused to talk. In the days following, Jesperson decided that he was certainly going to be arrested, and after 2 suicide attempts, he turned himself in, hoping it would result in leniency during his sentencing. While in custody, Jesperson began revealing details of his killings and making claims of many others, most of which he later recanted. Also, a few days before his arrest, he wrote a letter to his brother. In it, he confessed to killing about 8 people over the course of 5 years. This led police agencies in several states across the country to reopen old cases, many of which were found to be possible victims of Jesperson. Following Tanya Bennett's murder, Jesperson wrote a confession on the bathroom wall of a truck stop and signed it with a smiley face. When that didn't create the attention that he so desperately desired, he wrote letters to the media outlets and police departments confessing to murders, starting with a 6-page letter to the Oregonian in which he revealed the details of his killings. He signed each letter with a smiley face, and this is what led Phil Stanford, the journalist working the story for the Oregonian, to dub Jesperson the Happy Face Killer. At one point, he claimed to have as many as 183 victims, but only the 8 women killed in California, Florida, Nebraska, Oregon, Washington and Wyoming have been confirmed, but hardly any details have been released to the public in regards to the other victims. He's serving 3 consecutive life sentences at the Oregon State Penitentiary in Salem. In September 2009, he was indicted for murder in Riverside County, California, and was extradited to California to face the charges in December, and was convicted of this murder and received a 4th life sentence in January 2010, surely sealing his fate if it wasn't already very much sealed at this point. And that is the story of the Happy Face Killer, a sadistic serial killer that was going to stop at nothing, targeting people who were vulnerable and ill-equipped for such an encounter. I wanted to keep this video short, so I didn't go into loads of stuff that I found out about this guy, but that's the main story at least. Rest in peace to all the victims, and I hope the families of those lost souls found comfort in knowing this monster is locked away and will never get out again. If you watched all the way through, thank you. I'll be working on some longer videos once I get a little bit better at editing, but I appreciate you watching all the same. I do hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.